I wanted to come on just a few minutes early to give people the opportunity to come on in so we can get started right at 9 o'clock. I just want to check the different places that I am going live. Want to make sure that I am live in the places that I said I was going to be. All right, all right. It looks like I'm live on my personal page. There we go. And so now let me check a couple of the other pages. Again, I'm using a new tool that I have invested in for my business that I really, really like and really, really enjoy. It's called Restream. And so I'm using that on tonight. And so please come on in, come on in. As you come in, I know that you're coming in from different places. And so because I'm using Restream, it's a little bit different. So hello, hello. I see people are joining in. I see Carol. I see Clarice. I see some other people that are coming in, but your name doesn't show up. I see Juanita. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Come on in. I'm going to be sharing with you on tonight 5 tips to being a sister. When I mean sister, I mean those of us who are working. We may be moms, we may be wives, we may be ministers, but I want to give you 5 tips that actually for my sister entrepreneurs, dual-preneurs, and ministry-preneurs. Okay, and these tips are what I have come to understand during the time of the pandemic that are critical. Okay, so come on in, come on in. I want to give you some more time to come in. And I want to see exactly how this looks on the different places where I'm supposed to be live. So let me look right here. I'm supposed to be live in Vision Building Women. So let me, oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, wonderful. Again, I'm getting used to this new tool, y'all. Getting used to this new tool. So I'm live in Vision Building Women. Hello, all Vision Building Women. I am live on my personal page. Hello to all my friends and family. I am live on my business page. Hello to all of my business associates. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I am also live on Periscope and Twitter. And so hello to those of you who are watching on Periscope and Twitter. Hello, hello. And I am live on YouTube. Now you come on, you know that's a lot of live going on there. But I believe if God gave you the tools or gave somebody the ability to develop the tools, then we need to use them. All right, we need to use them. Now, I don't want to keep you on here very long on tonight, but I want to come on to give you some special, I guess you should say, some special teaching on tonight. Some special teaching on tonight. For those of you that don't know me, again, my name is Dr. Sandra Wall Williams. And yes, Wall is my middle name. Dr. Sandra Wall Williams. And I am the Master Mentor Coach. I specialize in supporting women in ministry development and career development. That means that I help women to move forward either in their ministry or their career. We also do spiritual development also. You can't do ministry development or career development without doing spiritual development. So we also do that as well. I have several coaching programs, several mentoring programs, and we are in the midst of working towards certifying women who want to be mentor coaches. So we're also doing that. So as you come in on tonight, we welcome you. Let me tell you up front, if you are somewhere where you can write, then you will want to have some paper and pencil because I am going to drop some serious nuggets on tonight. I am going to drop some serious nuggets on tonight. So hello, Sheila. Yes, it has been a while. Hello, hello. Missed you, sir. Janet, good. Hello, Dr. Smith. Good to see you here on today. One of our Shift Accelerator graduates. Good to have you here on tonight. So now let me get right into these 5 tips. Now, these 5 tips actually come from experience, because many people tell you or give you different tips and things like that. And sometimes they're kind of textbook. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of textbook. They're things that you kind of already know. You know, sometimes they're no different than what other people are saying, right? But what I want to do tonight is I want to give you some tips that have helped me along the way in terms of building my business, in terms of building my mentor coaching business. That's the premise of what I do. I support, like I said, I support women in ministry development and career development, and I do that through mentoring and coaching and teaching. And so through this journey, I have learned lots of entrepreneur lessons, okay? Lots of entrepreneur lessons. And I know that some of you are maybe full-time entrepreneurs. Some of you may be part-time. I call that dual-preneurs, meaning that you have, you work full-time, but you may also have a business, okay? Or you may be retired and you have a business, okay? Either way, you may be retired working and have a business, okay? But either way, you are working somewhere, but you also have a business, okay? And some of you may be ministry-preneurs, okay? Ministry-preneur, from my perspective, is someone who, someone who is in ministry full-time, or you are working and you're also in ministry. And that's a lot of us. A lot of us work and we're also in ministry, okay? If I were to go down the list, I kind of fit in all three, and more than likely, you kind of fit in all three also. You may be a entrepreneur, you may be full-time entrepreneur or part-time. I shouldn't say part-time, because if you're an entrepreneur, it's kind of all the time, right? All right. You may be an entrepreneur. You may be a dual-preneur, meaning that you work a 9 to 5, but you also have your own business. You may also be a ministry-preneur, meaning that you have a ministry, but you also work in addition to having that ministry, right? So tonight, what I want to do is I want to give you some 5 tips for my sisters. These are for women, okay? These are for women. So there are men listening, not a problem. Keep on listening. But these 5 tips are for women. That's why I said sister. These 5 tips are for women. Hello. Those of you that are just joining us, welcome. Okay, and I thank you for being here on tonight. All right. So now, there's my soror Deborah. Hello, Deborah. Welcome. And you know what? If you are on, and it looks like that there are a couple of Facebook users on here that are on, for whatever reason, it doesn't show your name. It just says Facebook user. I got to look into that and see what that means as to why your name is not showing up. But if you're on here and I haven't called your name, it's because I may not be able to see you. Hey, Sabrina, my mastermind sister. How are you doing? All right. So let me get right into these 5 tips. And if I have time, I'll give you a 6th one. Okay. If I have time, I'll give you a 6th one. But let me get right into these 5 tips. Again, these are not necessarily my top 5, because I have a whole bunch of them. I have a book over there that I'm writing all of these things, entrepreneur, dualpreneur, ministrypreneur kinds of things that I am learning along this journey. I am writing all of those down, and they're over there in the book. These are the 5 that I wanted to give you on tonight. So let's look at the first one. All right. So tip number one, if you are in ministry, if you are working and have a business on another business as an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur full-time, but you know what? Even if you're working full-time and you're not doing anything else. Now, it's kind of hard to believe, but some people are. They just work their jobs and they go home, okay? Then even if that's you, these 5 tips will help you. Okay? So I see other people are jumping on and joining us. Hello, welcome, Kelly. Welcome, Mrs. Bass. Hey, my cousin Drina's in the house. One of the best counselors, therapists in the nation. Please make sure that if you're in the Durham area, I think it's Durham, Drina, you have to put your information in the chat so people will know how to contact you. All right. Tip number 1. Let me give you tip number 1. All right. So let me see. Sabrina says it doesn't show up because they haven't clicked. I'm not using StreamYard. I'm using Restream. So I'm not sure about that. I don't use, Sheila says, okay, you have to register as a user. Gotcha. Thank you. I'll put that up there so people will know next time. Thank you, Sabrina and Soror Sheila. All right, so now let me get to tip number 1. Tip number 1 is you must know your boundaries. Okay, as an entrepreneur, and as I've been on this journey of having my own business and working myself, One thing that I have learned is I have to know my boundaries. What does that mean? I have to know when to say yes, and I have to know when to say no. All right. I have to know when to say yes and when to say no, because when you're working for yourself, and especially if you're doing this full time, many people think that you have all the time in the world and you can do all these different things, but you cannot. Okay. But you cannot. You have to make sure that whatever you say yes to, is in alignment with your goals, your vision, the dream, whatever it is that God has given you. You have to make sure that whatever you say yes to is in alignment to that. Okay. Because when it's out of alignment, then what will happen is you will be doing busy work, but you won't be doing focused work. Let me say that again. You need to write that down. When you are out of alignment, meaning that you're doing the kinds of work that are not in alignment with your goals, your dreams, your vision, whatever God has given to you. When you're out of alignment, you'll be doing busy work, but you won't be doing focused work. So you'll be on Facebook, doing this and being here and doing that, but it's not lining up with what it is that you should be doing, what it is that God has given you to do, what it is that is in alignment with your goals and your vision and your dream. And here's the thing, people ask me a lot to do different things, but I have no problem saying no if it's not in alignment. If it is not in alignment. Now, one of the things that I teach is, how do I know when things are in alignment? Okay. There's a whole process to understanding that and learning that. But you have to know that what you are doing are in alignment. People will ask me to be on boards, and sometimes I just have to say no because they're not in alignment with what it is that I should be doing. Okay. They're not in alignment with what I should be doing. So you have to know your boundaries. Tip number one is know your boundaries and operate within those boundaries. You might have boundaries for life. You might have boundaries for ministry. You might have boundaries for your church, the church work that you do. You may have boundaries that are encompassed in your values, but whatever they are, you need to know them and make sure you operate within them. Now, one thing about boundaries that I want you to remember, that boundaries are guidelines or limits that you identify. Okay. There are boundaries or guidelines that you identify such that you're giving people the ways that you want people to treat you. Okay. Like, for example, if a real simple example, okay. Simple example. If you don't want somebody eating in your car, then one of your boundaries is you don't eat in my car. Okay. That's one of your boundaries is you don't eat in my car. All right. That's a boundary that you've imposed. Okay. A limit that you've set. So when you say that you don't want someone eating in your car and someone wants to eat in your car, then they're crossing your boundary. Now, here's the thing. This is where you have to say, I'm going to go ahead and let it happen. That's a yes. Or I'm not going to let you cross that boundary. And that's a no. So you have to decide, what your boundaries are. And then when you decide what your boundaries are, then you have to stick within those boundaries. Okay. Everybody got that. Everybody have that, because boundaries are so, so very important. Another thing about boundaries, again, is that, when you don't set boundaries, when you don't set them, then people can do or say things to you that impact you emotionally, physically, mentally, sometimes socially, spiritually, all right, sometimes professionally. If you don't set those boundaries, then people will do to you whatever they want to do to you. Okay. One of the things I've learned as an entrepreneur, ministry-preneur, and a dual-preneur is that I set the boundaries for my life and what I do. Now, of course, my boundaries are in alignment with my values and all those kind of things, but I set them. And if I choose to let someone go outside of them, then that's on me. Okay, that means I said yes and I allow them to go outside of it. But if I say no, I'm not going to let you treat me like that. I'm not going to let that happen in my business. I'm not going to allow this and such. You've got to make that decision. And when you make that decision, because you set that boundaries, now what you're doing is you know your boundaries and you make sure that you make sure other people understand them. And that way people will treat you based on your boundaries. Okay. All right. Hello, Overseer Chris. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, hello, Drina. Thank you for putting your information up there. All right. So now you have to, when you talk about boundaries, again, make sure that you know what your boundaries are. Again, that's a whole teaching in itself, but knowing your boundaries and understanding your boundaries helps you to become the kind of person that you want to be. And here's another thing. Let me say this, and I'm going to go on to tip number 2. Okay. Because I have a time limit that I want to be on here tonight. So knowing your boundaries and understanding your boundaries, when you know and understand your boundaries, then other people will treat you accordingly. Okay. When you know your boundaries, you understand your boundaries, then other people will treat you according to the boundaries that you have set. And when you don't, and you allow people, and then you say yes when you shouldn't say yes, all right, then you've allowed other people to come in and kind of go outside of the boundaries that you've set. Okay. So tip number 1 is to know your boundaries, know when to say yes and when to say no. Okay. And remember, these can be not just professionally or in your business. These can be personal, physical, and all other different kinds of boundaries. Okay. So know those. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is probably one that some of you may have heard before, but maybe not. Tip number 2 is to have a sponsor and a mentor. Mentors. Okay. To have sponsors and mentors. Now, this is something I teach about when I teach people about, being able to leave your job and work in your dream, that sort of thing. This is part of that presentation. But this is something I learned that is extremely important. Extremely important if you're going to be an entrepreneur, whatever kind of preneur that you're going to be. Excuse me, whatever kind of preneur that you're going to be, this is extremely important, that you must have sponsors and mentors. Now, let me tell you the difference very quickly. Sponsors, let me start with mentors, because you're probably familiar with that. Mentors are people who have expertise and they help you according to their expertise. Okay. So they'll give you their perspective on different things. They have expertise in a particular area. So they're giving you their perspective based on their expertise. Okay. Mentors may help you find jobs, that sort of thing. Most of the times they don't. Most of the time they have a set of expertise and they give you their expertise. Okay. I have mentoring programs. People pay me as a professional mentor because I am a professional mentor. Corporations bring me in to work with their leaders and work with their women leaders in terms of and mentor them. So, and I give them my perspective on that. Now, a little bit different than that is a sponsor. A sponsor is one that gives you their perspective and gives you their expertise, but a sponsor also opens doors and gives you opportunities. That's the difference. And when you are in this business or whatever business it is that you're in, when you're in the business, entrepreneur, if you're in ministry, if you're in dual entrepreneurship, whatever it is, if you are doing something, you need both mentors and you need sponsors. You need people who can introduce you to other people, people who that you may be able to work with. And when you're able to work with them, they open doors for you, or they may introduce you to someone. I have had so many people just introduce me to other people. Now, those aren't necessarily sponsors. Okay. I can probably count on my hand, probably about 4 sponsors in my life. And these sponsors are people who, when I'm not around, they may be in a meeting, something may come up, and they'll say, I have the perfect person for that. Her name is Sandra Williams. Okay. That's what a sponsor does. A sponsor represents you. A sponsor does that when you're not in the room. Okay. A sponsor knows your background, your abilities, your values, your integrity. A sponsor knows that if they mention your name and they send you to do something, or they recommend you to somebody, a sponsor knows exactly how you're going to perform when you get there. That's what a sponsor does. Okay. So you don't have a lot of sponsors in your life. I don't sponsor. I can count on one hand the number of people that I can sponsor because I know them just that well. I know that if I do something, if I recommend them for something, then I know how they're going to perform when they get there. I don't have a lot of sponsors, but I do have a lot of people I mentor, both paid and unpaid. There are a lot of people that I mentor just because I know them, but it's not like a paid mentorship where they're in a paid program. Okay. I teach people who have the sets of expertise on how to set up their own mentoring program, how to set up their own mentoring program so they can make money from it. I have ministers who have set up mentoring programs and now they're making money from that expertise. But I don't advise people to be paid to be sponsors. I don't advise that. Okay. Because sponsorship is meaning that you have to know that person really, really well. But again, here's the thing. If you're going to move forward, one of the lessons that I've learned is that I have to have a lot of mentors, but I also have to have those sponsors. I have to have those people that are going to advocate and put my name out there, even when I'm not in the room. You need both of them. You need both of them. Okay. You need people. You need to have someone. If your name comes up, that person can speak for you or speak on your behalf and tell them how great you are. Okay. Some of you have great abilities and great things that you do. Okay. But you need someone to be able to speak on that on your behalf. Okay. All right. So hope you're getting these. I hope these are good for you. I really can't see the comments as well as I'd like to because the way the comments show up here in Restream is a little bit different. So I really can't see the comments as well as I'd like to. So let me do something here for just a second. Let me see something. All right. So the next tip. So you got the first tip, know your boundaries. Tip number 2, have a sponsor and a mentor. Tip number 3. Now, this is tip number 3. This is a good one right here. Tip number 3 is to have more than one source of income. Have more than one source of income. All right. You should have, and this is something that I learned in a millionaire mentoring program that my husband and I went through. It was over 20 years ago. Had to be over 20 years ago because our son wasn't born. Our son is 19. So it was over 20 years ago. My husband and I took a millionaire mentoring course. And the first thing that came out of the mentor's mouth was, you must have more than one source of income. You must have more than one source of income. Millionaires on average have at least 5 streams of income. So that's the number I go with. Okay. Now, so you need to have at least more than your working income, meaning that if you work a job, that's cool. That's cool. If you work a job, and then if you're married, your husband works a job, that's 2 streams of income. You need 3 more. That could be from a side business. It could be from a side business, a multi-level marketing, and something else that you do. Okay. And here's something else I tell people all the time. I used to didn't believe this, but I believe it now, that everybody, if you are going to have more than one stream of income, one of those streams of income needs to be something in a reputable multi-level marketing so that you can get residual income. My husband and I have residual income. We have income that comes in every month, no matter what. Okay. And it's from our multi-level marketing company that we work with. It's a financial services company. And we have residual income every single month, no matter what. Okay. But we've built that and we're continuing to build it. That's one stream of income. Then we have my husband's income. That's a second income. We have my business income. That's a third income. I have income from ministry. That's another income. And then I have income from my products. Okay. So, and then we have some other incomes with investments and things like that. But yes, you have to have more than one source of income, because if something dries up, and we saw in the pandemic, we've seen it, where people who work jobs and then those jobs went away because of the pandemic. People were out here not able to live. People were out here not able to live because they only had that source of income. Okay, they only had that source of income. So my tip here, number 3, is to have more than one source of income. You must have more than one source of income. All right. And let me give you this secret. Let me give you this secret. If you are a minister, if you have a business, if you do certain things at work that give you certain types of expertise, then you know what? You should have a mentoring or a coaching program around that level of expertise. Okay? You should just have that. One of my clients, she is a minister and she helps people write books. She's a ghostwriter. She can ghostwrite. She can help you write, whatever it is. But she can publish. She does all that. All right. So what she and I talked about, I said, well, what we need to do is to help you build a mentoring or a coaching program around writing those books, where someone can take you. They can go through your program, and you can help them. Okay. And at the end of it, they'll have a book written. Well, you know what? Now she still helps people write books. She still publishes books, but she has a very lucrative mentoring and coaching programs around helping others to write. Okay. Now, sometimes we don't think about that our expertise we can do that with. I have helped pastors take their sermon series and turn it into a mentoring program. Come on, y'all. That's a source of income. That's a source of income. My upcoming program, Monetize Your Mentoring. That's what I'm teaching people to do. If you're not in that, I don't know what to tell you. All right. But it's called Monetizing Your Mentoring. And so that's a source of income. You have expertise. Put it to use in mentoring and coaching, but do it reputably. Know what you're doing. Just don't be a fly-by-night person out here. You got to know what you're doing. Okay. All right. So that was my 3rd tip. So know your boundaries. Number 2, have a sponsor or a mentor. Number 3, have more than one source of income. Number 4, this is very important. Know your value. Know your value. Here's the thing. You need to know your skills. You need to know what are your skills, what are your competencies, what are your values, what's your experience, what's your expertise. You need to know what all that is. If someone comes up to you and says, I really would love to hire you. I used to always ask this question. When I was once senior vice president for 16 years, I was senior vice president for all 58 community colleges in the state of North Carolina. And every time I would have an interview, by the time somebody interviewed with me, it was pretty much a done deal, unless you were reporting to me. Okay. But one question I would always ask, regardless of the level that somebody came in the door with, I would ask them, what value are you bringing to the North Carolina community college system? Most of the time, people could not answer the question. Okay. Because your value is more than your knowledge. Okay. Your value will also be your expertise. Your value will also be your skills. Your value will also be those your knowledge base. Your value will also be how you operate in a team. Your value will also be your leadership. Okay. So those are the things that you bring to the table. Those are the things that you bring to the table. So know your value. Know what value you bring into an organization. Know what value you bring to a business. If somebody were to come up to you and say, I'd love to partner with you, what value are you going to add? If someone were to come up to you and say, I'd love for you to speak at my conference, what value will you add to my conference attendees, whether it's virtual or not? Okay. I get that question a lot. People will call me and they will say, well, Dr. Williams, I know that you do ministry development. I know that you do career development. I know that you help women to be mentor coaches and you have the program, but what bottom line value will you bring to my audience? Okay. I know what value I bring to the table. What value do you bring to the table? Oh my goodness. Somebody's on YouTube. You know what? I just figured out that there are little Facebook icons and now there are YouTube icons. So I can kind of tell where people are coming from. Wonderful. So KC, I'm not sure who that is, but KC says she remembers that question. So evidently you must have interviewed with me sometime in the past and you remember me asking that question. That is so cool. That is so cool. So Make sure that you know your value. And here's something I want you to remember. When you value it's Carmen. Hey, Carmen, how are you? Excuse me, Dr. Carmen. I'm sure you're there already by now, right? Okay, let me know in the comments, ma'am. All right. So now, when you value yourself, then others will value you. When you value yourself, others will value you. If you're unsure of what it is that you bring, then other people can't bring you onto their teams. This is whether I'm talking ministry, I'm talking work, I'm talking career, I'm talking whatever. People aren't going to bring you onto a team if you're unsure of your value, if you're not confident in what you know. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything, but what you do know, you have to be confident in it. You have to know that you know that you know. My auntie, Evangelist Lydia Jones, actually is my cousin, Audrina Jones, her mother, my daddy's sister. One of the things that she used to always say that I remember from a child is that you have to know that you know that you know. Now, she was talking about the things of God, but I take that, the things of God, and also you have to know that you know who you are, what you bring to the table, what value do you bring when you step into a room? Okay. The reason that people pay me to be on their boards, meaning I have companies that pay me to be on their boards, is because I have a certain set of value that I bring to the table. Okay. I don't bring everything that they need, but I have a set of knowledge and that knowledge, experience, and expertise that will bring value to their particular organization. Okay. You need to know your value. What value do you bring? So know your boundaries. Have a sponsor and a mentor. Have a sponsor and mentors. Okay. Have more than one stream of income. Know your value. Here's the last one. I don't think I'm going to have time for number 6, but here's the last one. And it is put God in everything. Everything. Okay. Put God in everything. Because I will tell you, if you don't put God in everything, then I'll just put it on the table. Like my pastor said, both hands on the table. Let me just tell you, if you don't put God in everything, you're not going to be successful. You won't be successful, especially those of us that know the Lord and we know that God is the center of everything we do. All right. I used to always say that we have to put God first, that we should always put God first. And then my former pastor, he's gone to be with the Lord now. He said, Sandra, that's an incorrect statement. I went, okay, Bishop Farrar, what do you mean that's an incorrect statement? Don't we want to put God first? And he said, and this will stick with me for the rest of my life. He said, if you put God first, you have put God in a lineup. And that means that whatever is second can take God's place. So you put God in everything. That God has to be the center of everything that you do. God has to be the center of everything that you do. So do we put God first? Of course we do. Of course we do. Our relationship with God should be more important than anything else that you do. All right. Your relationship with God should be more important than anything else that you do. But you have to put God in everything. You have to put him in your career. You have to put him at the center of your career. You have to put him at the center of your work. You have to put him at the center of your ministry. I know that sounds like kind of like an oxymoron, putting God at the center of your ministry. But a lot of people have ministry, but they don't have God. Another teaching, but let me keep going. All right. You put him in the center of your ministry. Put him in the center of your church work. Put him in the center of your marriage. Put him in the center of your children. Put him in the center of your physical health. Oh, I'm not going to preach. Let me bring it down a little bit. Put him in the center of every single thing that you do. Because when God is in the center, when God is the foundation, when he is in everything, then what that means is then you'll have everything on a firm foundation. You'll then have everything on a firm foundation. Again, do I believe in putting God first? Yes, of course I do. But just like my former pastor said, that if you put him first, you're putting him in a lineup, and whatever second can take his place. I was like, whoo, that is deep right there. And that stuck with me. So I've learned to put God in everything. Put God in every single thing that you do. Everything that you do. And all the tips 1-4, will all work out as long as you have God in everything. You've got to have him in your business. You've got to have him in your ministry. You've got to have him in your life. You've got to have him in every single thing that you do. Okay? So now these 5 tips, again, these 5 tips. Number 1, know your boundaries. Number 2, have a sponsor and mentors. Let me add one more thing about mentors real quickly. Okay? You have to have more than one mentor. You need more than one mentor. You have to have mentors in almost every area of your life. Every area that you're existing, if you want help and support, find a person to mentor you in that area. Because every one person does not have expertise that they can guide you and give you their perspective for every single area of your life. Okay? I have mentors in lots of different areas of my life. Okay? I don't have just one mentor that's just one person that mentors me in everything. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Well, I'll take that back. Dr. Shirley Brown kind of does that. For those of you that know her, but that's because she knows me well. Sometimes you will have mentors that know you very, very well, and they can mentor you in almost every area of your life. But there are some people who may not know you that well, and they can only mentor you in one area. So again, number 1, know your boundaries. Number 2, have a sponsor and mentors. Number 3, have more than one source of income. Number 4, know your value. Number 5, put God in everything. Put him in everything. So I hope this has helped you on tonight. Thank you for those of you who have been on Facebook. Thank you. Thank you. Those of you who are coming in from YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Those of you who are here from Periscope. Thank you for being with me on tonight. I'm going to be doing more of these short teachings because I am the master mentor coach, right? I am the master mentor coach, and it is my job in this season to bring you information that will mentor you and help you move forward. I shouldn't be the only mentor you have, but I can mentor you in some areas. And now that I have this new tool where I can go live on so many different places at the same time, then you'll be seeing more of me in these different areas. So now I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And please make sure that if you are not 2 things. If you are not on my email list, please go to drsandraspeaks.com, drsandraspeaks.com, and get on my email list. All right, that's the first thing, because I love to continue to connect with you. And if you're on Facebook or not, whether or not you're on Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, please join us over in the Vision Building Women group. Vision Building Women Facebook group. I am in there all the time, dropping even more nuggets and helping women to move forward in their calling, in their career, in their ministry, helping them to move forward in those areas. So again, I hope this was helpful. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.